Hey class, first of all I want to start with a reminder. I do have 3 courses running this semester, so if you contact me, please make sure you put that course heading in the subject so that I can most swiftly get there to help you. Let's go have a look at this course, and as we begin our study of Chinua Achebe's The Arrow of God, would like to point out a few things that we have going here. That actually at the course home, I've got some thoughts here. That announcement would be a good one, and both of those 2 announcements on 10:15 would be good ones to have a look at. Then when we go down to Unit 8, we have under the reading section this reference. The kola nut is very important in this story, throughout this story, and when you have no idea what the manners and social meaning of the kola nut is, then it's hard to get what's happening. So if you click on Best of the Web over here, and here's the Arrow of God, let's close that. With next week, actually, I'm sending you to the flashcards and the questions, because those will help you as you build your knowledge of it. But, so here, if we go to the Igbo guide, brings us to insight into Igbo culture, Igbo language, and Enugu. And if you head over here to the kola nut discussion, don't you hate those little ads? Anyway, here is a lovely description of the length and the meaning and the import of the transfer of a kola nut from one person to another. So a very significant and enduring practice among the Igbo is the kola nut as the initiation of a proper conversation. So let's go back to from here and then back to here. And then under reading we see the vocabulary link, and if you go there we have vocabulary as it occurs in the story. So that is a chronological list of characters and vocabulary, or if you would prefer alphabetized, because once you start compiling those words, and they can, because so many of them are using the same vowels, it can grow quite blurry in your mind on even the 6 cities of the connection there, right? So if you have the vocabulary in both of these 2 forms, you might find that helpful. And then we also have our discussion this week and our current event, and we have somebody in there at work. If you didn't join in last week, Catherine posted a nice current event on Achebe, written by a woman whose last name is Adichie, Ngozi Adichie, who is one of the most important contemporary feminist writers of our time. So that's a good thing to find. Now, when it comes to this beautiful book, and I know that I have been glowing in my discussion of it and everything I say about it, so you know that I think this is one of the important books of the 20th century. I want to give you just one little nugget here that helps express, really to unpack just how richly he has crafted every moment, every movement, every discussion. So let's try this. And I am on page 42 of my edition of chapter, I believe this one is in chapter 4. Yes, in chapter 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 pages in. The place where the Christians built their place of worship was not far from Izulu's compound. As he sat in his obi, thinking of the festival of the pumpkin leaves, he heard their bell. Gom, 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 gom. His mind turned from the festival to the new religion. He was not sure what to make of it. At first, he had thought that since the white man had come with great power and conquest, it was necessary that some people should learn the ways of his deity. That was why he had agreed to send his son, Aduche, to learn the new ritual. He also wanted him to learn the white man's wisdom, for Izulu knew from what he saw of Winterboda and the stories he heard about his people that the white man was very wise. But now Izulu was becoming afraid that the new religion was like a leper. Allow him a handshake, and he wants to embrace. Zulu had already spoken strongly to his son, who was becoming more strange every day. Perhaps the time had come to bring him out again. But what would happen if, as many oracles prophesied, the white man had come to take over the land and rule? In such a case, it would be wise to have a man of your family in his band. As he thought about these things, Aduche came out from the inner compound wearing a white singlet, a sleeveless shirt, and a towel which they had given him in the school. Nwafo came out with him, admiring his singlet. Aduche saluted his father and set out for the mission because it was Sunday morning. The bell continued ringing in its sad monotone. Nwafo came back to the Obi and asked his father whether he knew what the bell was saying. Zulu shook his head. It is saying, leave your yam, leave your cocoa yam and come to church. That is what Aduche says. Right, so the younger brother is reporting that Aduche has explained to him what the bell is saying. Yes, said Izulu thoughtfully. It tells them to leave their yam and their cocoa yam, does it? Then it is singing the song of extermination. So this is a beautiful example of how Achebe crafts a scene, a transition from the festival of the pumpkin leaf to the meaning of Christianity through the characters of a son and the explanation of why the son was sent to the missionary school, the doubts the parent has about that choice. Do you ever know a parent who had a doubt about their choice in terms of where their kids' education is happening? And he describes a power relationship. And you remember from my first article on advice for studying religion that power is central to religious lives. And we tend to think of religion as beliefs that are floating around up here, and like power is something that's involved in politics. But once you start looking carefully, and in Izulu's reflections, part of what he was trying to do was link his family into the kind of power he saw at work as the God of the white man entered into his community. So he understands that this is a relationship of power that he would like to be engaged with, especially if the prophecies were right, and he is a man to take those prophecies very seriously. So Achebe has crafted this transition from the festival leaf to the ringing of the Catholic bell and the son who is growing strange. So let's think about that language of a symbolic map. You know your son, and what is happening if the son is growing strange? There's a rift beginning, and the son is maybe moving on a different land, a different landscape. There's a strangeness, a stranger now. That's a very profound moment for a parent to experience. So I hope this little look at one piece of chapter 4 helps you break open the power of this story to bring to life for us what it means to study African traditional religions, aware of the dynamic of change that Mbiti wrote very powerfully about. And now we get to live it in a story. Thanks for your attention.